Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Body Beyond the Scales. Today I'm joined by Lauren and we're going to be talking through when weight loss will make you happier and maybe when it won't, and maybe it will make you happier for the reasons that you didn't expect. So Lauren, welcome to the podcast. Let's get cracking. Who are you?
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm just Lauren. That is just me.
I'm just Ken.
Yeah, I'm just Lauren. I am a personal trainer, online coach, but I haven't always been. To be honest, where are we now, 2025? If you'd have said to me, even in 2019, so 6 years ago, if you'd have said, look, you're going to be a PT, you're going to enjoy going to the gym, I would have turned around and I literally would have laughed at you and just gone, are you being serious? Shut up. I don't think so. And I just, I didn't see the point. I was like, why do people do that? I would see, like, going back to my uni days, people would go to the gym and I'd be like, what are you doing? What are you doing that for? So yeah, so I am very, very aware that the gym is not a part of everyone's life, and definitely hasn't always been, but I have then come through the other side and seen the benefits.
Nice. Well, do you want to start off by telling us a little bit about your story? Because as you said, like back in 2019, it wouldn't have been a time where you'd have been like, you'd use the gym. Who's she? Do you want to start a little off and tell us a little bit about your story and your journey with weight loss?
Yeah, so I'm going to actually take it right back to when I was a kid. So when I was a kid, I was actually super, super active. So I would do everything, and I did everything to quite a high level as well. So I used to do gymnastics, as every girl's little dream is. So I used to do gymnastics, and I would actually compete at a regional level. I then went on to play football, and again did that to quite a high level. Got scouted to play for Charlton Athletic women's youth development team, which I am well aware that Charlton are not the best team in the world, as much as it pains me to say it, because my whole family are lifelong Charlton fans. We have actually just been promoted to the championship, but
Hey.
going going back to when I was a kid, actually, we were in the Premiership and their women's team was up there on a par with Arsenal. So that was pretty cool, especially because my elder brother, his lifelong dream had been to play for Charlton, and then his little sister comes along and gets scouted. And then I got a knee injury. And I basically put a stop to everything. And then I obviously was a teenager of a certain age. You get disinterested in all of these things. You start doing other things. You start going to the park, to the beach, hanging out with your friends, drinking. Then you go to uni, and it just exercise just wasn't a part of life. And for me, it hadn't even been a consideration to think about diet. Growing up, I would just eat whatever I wanted, and there were no consequences. I never put on weight. I was always a skinny little thing, and probably because I was active. And when I think back to even when I was a teenager, as much as I wasn't actively sort of exercising, I would walk everywhere because obviously at 16 years old, you don't have a car, so
Yeah.
you walk everywhere. And then so then went to uni and 3 years of drinking and whatnot. And then when I graduated uni, I didn't know what I wanted to do. Who does realistically when they are that age? So I actually fell into my first career, which was managing pubs. And so that was not conducive to living a healthy lifestyle, shall we say. You're surrounded by food, you're surrounded by alcohol every single day. You're working all the hours under the sun, you're working all the unsociable hours, so you're working late, so sleep's not very good, something that is just very difficult to prioritize. So as a result of that, I then gradually started to put on weight, and I knew that I was. But when you're in denial in your head, and you just think like, it's fine. I can cover this. I can buy size up jeans. I can wear baggy t-shirts, baggy dresses. Like other people aren't going to notice. It's fine. It's all good. Until one day they did. And my dad, he noticed, and it was pinpoint it to April 2020 because we were just into lockdown, and I'd popped around for a doorstep visit, and my dad said to me, "God, Lauren, you've put on some weight, haven't you?" He absolutely does not remember this, by the way. I've told this story many times, and I've told it to my email list, and my mum is on my email list, and she read it, and she was like, "I didn't know that." And my dad was like, "Well, I don't remember saying that." And I'm like, "You definitely did because it stuck with me."
I'm
Um,
emotionally scarred from this, father.
literally. So at the time, I was like, "Thanks, Dad. Um, thanks very much for that." Now, genuinely, thanks, Dad. I have changed my entire life off the back of that one comment. So I went home and I was like, "Right, okay, I actually have to do something about this." I'd been trying, don't get me wrong. Before that, I had been trying and completely failing in my efforts to lose weight. I'd been trying to, eat healthier, but that hadn't but I didn't really know what I was doing. And it was only when I then started to get serious about it and thought, "Right, okay, I need to track my calories," and realised that my healthy breakfast of overnight oats was actually coming in at almost 1,000 calories for
Ooh.
breakfast. I know. So no wonder I wasn't losing weight. So yeah, so then I set about actually just being sensible with it and actually educating myself for how best to do it. And then I lost 3 stone in the space of a year. And I haven't looked back since. And then, so after I did that, I've then like reverse dieted my way back up to build strength. I'm now the strongest and fittest that I have ever been. And so getting into how I got into what I do now, after I'd lost the weight, I realised how genuinely life changing it can be. And um and I thought, "Do you know what? I want to help other people to do this." I was sitting there racking my brains because I was furloughed at the time. Obviously we were in the pandemic, and I didn't want to go back to working at the pub. I knew that that wasn't something that I wanted to do forever. I've done it for what, 7 years by this point. I'd been in pubs because I was 28, I think. Yeah, I was 28, and I just thought, "Do you know what? There's got to be more to life." And I was looking around and I was thinking, and I was going through Indeed and I was thinking, "I don't want to do any of these jobs.
Yeah.
I really, really don't." I was like, "So, okay, what can I do?" Right, I want to work for myself. I want to start my own business. And I spoke to a couple of friends who were also coaches. So I don't know if you know Rachel Henley. Um,
Yeah.
we've known each other since we were like this big. We grew up on the same road and used to car share to primary school. Funny story, my cat actually once went and invaded her mum's coffee morning because my cat used to go and knock on people's front doors. She's there waiting for a coffee morning, waiting for her guests to arrive, and there's a knock on the door, and she opens it, and it's just my cat sat there. Yeah, so
So
I
the
spoke.
cat came in for coffee, I'm hoping?
Yeah.
I need the end of the story, yeah.
Yeah, he did. He just carried on, so in the end, he just went and sat in the middle of it. He was a character. He was such a character. Um, but yeah, so I spoke to Rachel, and she was like so encouraging. And I spoke to my friend Kerry as well, who um she's also a brilliant coach, and both of them were like, just they were just so encouraging. They're like, "Go for it." So I sort of asked them many questions, got together a little business plan for myself, thinking about actually what do I need to do, what are the expenses involved, like how am I actually going to turn a profit, because I've got bills to pay, and I need to build it up so that, because I was on a relatively decent wage at the pub. So it was because I'd worked my way up and I was at management level and hitting bonuses and stuff. It was like, right, okay, I need to replace that. So yeah, I worked out what I needed to do, and then I got my qualification, and then I built up my business on the side of working 50, 60 hours a week at the pub. So if anyone tells me that they don't have time to exercise, I call fucking bullshit. Am I allowed to swear? Because I just have.
Oh, yeah, no, go for it, go for it.
Yeah, I call bullshit because I'm not being funny. But alongside working 50, 60 hours a week, and that was at a minimum, because that time going back to work post COVID, it was so hard to get staff, and because all the rules were so different, you needed to have more people in the building, and there was so much more to do. So while I was contracted to work 48 hours, most weeks it was upwards of that. Some weeks it was above 60. So I was
And
doing
also at the same time, we were doing Eat Out to help out, which meant that everyone was going feral and going for like a million meals out.
exactly. It was yeah, it was quite something. Um, I've got a funny story on Eating Out to help out. Um, but um, but yes, alongside that, I got my qualification, and then I built up my business, and I still managed to train. So,
Yeah.
you know, if I can do that, then you can find half an hour 2, 3 times a week to work out.
Yeah,
You just
I think sometimes when it comes to like, I don't have enough time. It's a, well, do we maybe just need to realign when you're doing things and how much time you're actually spending procrastinating? Because is it a case of like, oh, well, you get home and then you crash and then you spend 45 minutes sat on your phone, brain dead? Like, is it that, or is it a situation where you're getting up on a morning, your alarm goes off, and then you spend 45 minutes sat on your phone scrolling through TikTok?
yeah,
Brain dead. Like and there's time. Like there will
ex
always be time to find it. Even if it is a 2 minute workout, there will be time.
exactly, and I think a lot of the time, it's not a case of people not having the time, it's a case of they don't know what to do, so they
Hmm.
make every excuse under the sun because they think that whatever they do, it's not gonna be effective, so we just may as well not do anything. Well, actually, if you've got a plan in place and you know what to do, you can do a lot in half an hour,
Yeah,
an
for
awful lot.
sure. And like I think exactly as you said there, and you mentioned this when it came to your nutrition as well, that it was partly an information gap, like it was partly a knowledge gap, like the not
Yeah,
knowing what to do like with your like workouts, but not knowing what to do with your food, and not knowing that what you were consuming, whilst it might have looked healthy, it wasn't nutritionally balanced to what you needed. So like it's everything that you do is like about, do you have the right information, do you have the right tools? And a lot of the time people are like, I know what I'm doing, I'm just not doing it. And the answer is, well, actually, you don't know what you're doing. Like, and this is all right, but like we have to confront that sometimes we have an information deficit as well as a like implementation deficit, and
yeah.
trying to find what we need to plug those gaps as well.
100%, because I think everyone knows the basics, that they need to move more and eat less, right?
Yeah.
That's essentially what it comes down to. But people don't know how to move. They don't know how many steps actually is good for them. Because for some people, at starting point of doing 2, 3,000 a day, they think, oh well, I need to hit this magic number of 10,000, and you're never going to do that. I'm sorry, but with the greatest will in the world, you're not going to go from 2, 3,000 to 10,000 in one go, but actually you increase it slowly and you go from 2,000 to 3,000 to 4,000 to 5,000. And actually, eventually, you'll get there because you've built that habit sustainably. But you try and do it all in one go, and yeah, and it's not going to happen. Then, like with nutrition as well, it's people know that they need to eat healthier, but like I've already said, eating healthier isn't actually necessarily the answer.
Yeah, and like with the we go, oh yeah, I just understand that I need to eat less, and then you go, right, I'll start skipping breakfast, and you're like, that's not solving the problem. And like the idea of eating less is not eat less volume of food; it's eat fewer calories, but you could eat a significantly higher volume of food. I,
Yes.
I made a video the other day talking about how I ate 2,000 calories in a day and a 80-20 within these two, like 2,000 calories. And one of the comments on the video was something like, you must do a lot of activity to eat that much food. And I was like, this is 2,000 calories. This is a low day for me because, yes, I do a lot of activity, but on a typical day, I'm burning probably close to 2,400 calories. It would just happen to be lower because I'd eaten lower that day. I think my activity might have been down. I was in yeah, for some reason I'd eaten 2,000 calories that day. And I was like, the main thing here is that you're not understanding that the volume of food doesn't equate to the amount of calories that you're eating. So like eat less means eat fewer calories, but it doesn't mean you just need to skip breakfast and just go stick on coffee, and you have to start fasting and you have to start doing this and you have to start like and cutting everything out, and like you need to cut out everything and then you're starving all the time, and like that's not what eat less means. Like,
No,
and it's
absolutely.
again, that's an education thing though.
Yeah, because, like, you skip breakfast, come if I was to skip breakfast, come 10, half 10, 11, depending on the day, I would be fucking ravenous, and
Yeah.
I would be and if I get too hungry, I get to the point where I just wanna eat everything in sight, and I know that I am not alone in that,
Yeah.
and then I will start shoveling in the calories. I won't care what I'm eating because I'm so hungry that I just need to get some fuel in me. So and that is the case for so many people. How many people do skip breakfast and then they're in the office or they're sat at the desk working and it gets to 10, 11, and they make themselves a coffee and then they grab a biscuit, but it's not just a biscuit, it's 4, 5 biscuits, and they don't think anything of it. But actually, if you'd have had breakfast, that would have given you so much more in terms of like nutritional value, would have kept you going. You wouldn't have needed those biscuits that are essentially just empty calories, really, aren't they? Just sugar to give you a bit of a boost. And you would feel so much better. So
Yeah,
much.
I think as well on that, like you don't like appreciate a lot of the time that we end up saying, "Oh, well, I didn't eat breakfast, therefore I can eat this." So you go, "Oh, well, I didn't eat breakfast, therefore eating this donut's fine because I didn't eat breakfast." And but you do that multiple times throughout the day. So then it goes from, "Oh, well, I didn't eat my 300 to 500 calorie breakfast, therefore I can have this donut which is 300 calories." And then a little bit later on, you go, "Oh, I'll just have a biscuit." Well, I didn't eat breakfast, another 100 calories. Then I didn't eat that, and it just adds up throughout the day. And go, "Well, I'll have a bigger dinner because I didn't eat breakfast." And all of a sudden, you're like, "Well, you might as well have eaten breakfast because
Yeah,
you've
literally, you
consumed
would have been
more
so much
food." And we
better.
end up, yeah, we compensate for not having done that. So I think as well, like it's about going, well, what habits can I put in place that make my life easier, not harder? Cutting out breakfast for most people is going to make their life harder. Cutting out like making eating less in terms of just physically eating what you're currently eating and basically just eating less of it, it's probably going to make your life harder. Like, so understanding food and understanding what it means to eat more and lose weight, and also like move in a way that's effective and not just, "Oh, well, I went and did a workout, I got really sweaty because I went on the treadmill for 30 minutes." Like that's not a workout either that's necessarily going to be productive to losing weight and keeping it off long term. So like it's all about kind of that knowledge as well as as well, I'd like to clarify on this, it sounds like both of us are in a bit of a rant here, but like this is not your fault that you don't have this information yet. Like
Well,
it's okay
absolutely
that
not.
the school education system in this country does not teach you how to be healthy. There is no point where we are taught how to be healthy humans, but it's your
Not
responsibility to learn how to be a healthy human now.
Yeah, but also not even just school and education growing up. You think about the likes of certain slimming clubs that maybe we won't mention the actual name of, but they teach people the worst things about food. So I have had so many clients over the years that have been to these slimming clubs and just their relationship with food is absolutely atrocious because an avocado has more sins than a Mars bar, so they would rather eat a Mars bar.
Yeah.
And that to me is absolutely wild. And you can eat as much pasta as you like because it's a free food, and has no sins, but you can't eat an avocado. It's
Yeah.
it's absolutely backwards. And I was talking to one of my clients the other day, and she obviously is now very against Slimming World. Oh, I just said the name. That Slimming Club.
Yeah, it's just slimming clubs, generic
Yes.
slimming clubs.
Yes, generic slimming club. She was someone that works for her is still going to said slimming club, and she was going to have her weigh in, her weekly weigh in, a room full of people that are going to judge her. So she was basically all day she was trying to eat as little as possible so that she then could weigh as little as possible for this weigh in, and then afterwards it's like, yeah, I can have everything because I've done my weigh
Yeah.
in now, and it's like, no, I'm sorry, that's just not how it works.
Yeah. And
It's
this is the
just
thing is when you end up in these cultures which teach you to weigh in once a week and use that as your only measure, it teaches you disordered patterns and disordered habits. And we end up doing what I kind of like, I've referenced it on the podcast before, but like it's stormy seas. So we end up like going up and down and up and down and up and down. And like we're eating loads and we're eating nothing. Then we're eating loads and then we're eating nothing. When actually what we want is your behavior over time to be steady seas. So we want nice and even. We'll have fluctuations. You'll have a day where you're a bit higher, a day where you're a bit lower, a day where you're a bit higher. And that's all right. But as long as on average there's like 100 calories, 200 calories in it, like not the end of the world. That's completely normal for maintenance. But we end up like with when you do slimming clubs, it's, "Oh, well, I didn't eat anything on a Wednesday because at 6 p.m. I was going to get weighed on the scales and I was scared of what Karen was going to say, and then I had fish and chips afterwards."
Yeah. Yes.
Doesn't make
Exactly.
sense.
How backwards is that? And it places so much emphasis on that number on the scale as well as that being the only measure of what's important in life. And it's just not. There are so many more things that come out of it. Actually, when you stop focusing on that number and you start focusing on other numbers, like for example, um, how much more energy do you have? What are your measurements? How do you feel? What numbers are you hitting in the gym? Actually, those are all so much more important. I literally had this conversation with a client the other day in her check-in. She'd put on a form she'd been onto one of the like fancy scales in the gym that measures like your muscle mass and everything like that. And she was like, "Oh, it's brilliant. It's all like my muscle mass has increased, like, I'm definitely getting stronger, but my weight's plateaued." And I was like, okay, are we surprised by this? And I just had to put it into context because actually I'm not surprised that your weight is plateaued when your strength is increasing, because actually, like, muscle is so much more dense than fat that obviously the more muscle you have, yes, you are going to weigh a little bit more, but that's fine because it's at the end of the day, it's not about that number on the scale. That's not the thing that's going to make you happy. The thing that's going to make you happy is how you feel in your body.
Yeah. And I think that's such an interesting point. And like, obviously, the theme of this episode is like, losing weight won't make you happy, but it will make you happier, kind of thing. And like, it's the idea of the thinking that we often think that losing weight is about the number on the scale. So it's like, I'll be happy when I've hit 10 stone. I'll be happy when I've done this. And it's like, no, because nothing magical happens when you've lost 3 stone. Like, you've obviously lost 3 stone. I've lost 3 stone. I cannot say I was happier when I hit my goal weight. Like, that did not change my life. My life did not fundamentally change when I hit my goal weight. Like, what I think I actually just slipped onto it and I was like, oh yeah, cool. Sound cool.
Yeah.
Like that, nothing changed from the moment before or the moment after I stepped on the scales.
No, and do you know what? I'm actually going to caveat that and say that I went from, I was 76 kilos when I started and just was like, right, okay, fuck, I need to lose some weight. I went down to 53 kilos. That was my lowest weight. That was my 3 stone loss. 20, was it 25, 20 something kilos. And I then actually gained. I'm now sitting at 62 kilos and I'm happier now than I was when I was at 53 because I have a lot more food freedom. I'm a whole lot stronger. And I enjoy everything so much more. It's
Yeah.
not it's not about trying to be as small as possible. Actually, it's likely that your dream body weighs more than you think it will.
Yeah. And I always like to really caveat when we talk about maintenance that maintenance is a spectrum within calories, but it's also a spectrum within weight.
Yeah.
And like, you will not you will not hit 10 stone and stay at exactly 10 stone, 0 pounds forever. Like,
No.
that's not what we mean when we say maintenance. I believe in like literature terms, maintenance tends to mean around 1 to 4 kilograms, like of weight, which we're talking there like 8 to 10 pounds. Like, that is a significant like fluctuation
Yeah.
that we're talking about on the scales. But not only that, that's also looking at people who then don't go make other changes to their like body. So where you're saying there, like, you've got stronger, you've built more muscle. I'm the same. Like, at my lowest I was 60 kg, which took me down from I think 83 kilograms to 60 kilograms to 23 kg down. I now sit comfortably around 64, 65-ish. One, because it allows for me to enjoy a meal out every week and not not feel like my entire life is caving in.
Exactly.
Yeah, and the other thing is I also have an ass that doesn't look like a pancake, so it's lovely. Like, it is like, you can build muscle and your weight can change, and that still means that you have maintained your fat loss, but that's nothing to do with the number on the scales. So like, the weight that I weigh now is kind of irrelevant because I know that if the scale goes up, but I'm still living by my healthy habits and the things that I value the most, I'm still training hard, I'm still doing the things that I want to do, my body's performing, and also I feel my best.
Yeah.
Great. Like,
Exactly.
that's fine.
Exactly. To be honest, that number is pretty much irrelevant to me. I keep an eye on it. I do get on the scales and I weigh, but I'm not bothered if it goes up
Yeah.
at all. And I know most people would be, but I know that I'm consistently doing everything that I want to do, and I'm happy with it, and I feel good in my body. Currently eating in a very small deficit because I do want to get just a little bit leaner, purely because I think it's going to help me on a performance level with running. But And that's the only level. But once I've done that, the goal is then to actually going to be to just build more muscle, and
Yeah,
that's the scale's then going to go back up, and
for sure.
it's I'm not bothered. I don't care.
Yeah. Just on a context side of things here as well, like I've obviously mentioned that my current weight is about 64, 65 kg. I'm 5 foot 5.5, but if anyone asks, I'm 5 foot 6.
That's
I
so
like
funny because I am also 5 foot 5.5, but also 5 foot 6 if anyone asks.
5 foot 6, so we're both 5 foot 6. But like, look at how different our weights are, and if you
Yeah.
look at Lauren and I's like physiques, we look different. Like, and it shows that like 65 kg on me is going to look different to what 65 kg looks like on Lauren, and 62 kg on me is going to look different to what 62 kg on Lauren looks like, and
Yeah,
that's okay. Like, bodies are different, so like having this expectation that when I hit X weight, I'm going to look like this, I'm going to feel like this, and then I'll be happy is bullshit. Like you're setting yourself up for failure there. So like
yeah,
having these correct expectations of actually wherever I get is fine. Like it's not necessarily a number. We can have a lighthouse as a number. It guides us in the right direction, but we don't have to
exactly.
hit it.
I
But
don't
yeah,
think that you can put a definitive number on it because at the end of the day, it will look different on everyone. And I always use the example of one of my clients when I'm talking to people about this. So one of my clients, Meg, she lost 2 kilos in the space of 4 months, right? And 2 kilos is like in the grand scheme of things, that's not a lot at all. But and most people, if I said to them, "Yeah, you're going to lose 2 kilos in 4 months," they'd go, "Fuck off, can't be asked to put in the effort for that. Well, it's not
yeah,
worth it." And then I show them her progress pictures. And yes, okay, she only lost 2 kilos, but she also lost 4 inches off of her waist. Her clothes are literally hanging off her.
yeah,
And I turn around and I show you that, and I don't tell you how much she's lost. You're going to bite my hand off for it.
yeah.
So it's so important to just not be completely focused on that number.
For sure. And like I remember as well, like I've got a picture of me a couple of years ago at the same weight as what I am now. And I'm looking there and I'm like, I look so much like stronger now. I have so much muscle. But yet I'm exactly the same weight. Like I look different, but
Yeah,
I'm exactly the same weight. So like it's so important to say as well, like your physique will change over time, especially if you are making exercise a habit and you are frequently going to the gym, like, and you are lifting weights and you are progressively overloading. Like if you are doing all of these things, you're going to get stronger, you're going to
yeah,
build some muscle, and your weight may fluctuate, your body's going to change, and then if you hit like the same weight again, you're going to look different. So like don't get attached to the number is what
exactly.
we're saying.
You could take someone who is also 5 foot 5.5, but really 5 foot 6, and put them next to me that weighs 62 kilos, and they could look completely different. Their body could be so different. They might be a whole lot stronger than me, or they might have zero muscle and think, well, hang on, we weigh the same. Why don't I look like her?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's all relative to what you do.
For sure. And like I think that's why it always comes down to, well, I'm such a big advocate for like inputs over outputs. Like you can always control your inputs. All right, well, you want to look a bit stronger, cool, go lift some more weights then, like, and you
Yeah,
can control the input, like you control what's going on there. Like rather than it being this idea of like, oh well, my entire being and existence is determined by what the scale says.
yeah, 100%. And
So
I was just going to say, I'm also a firm believer that there's always something that you can do to control that. You can't. Things are going to go wrong all the time because life happens, shit happens, it gets in the way. But there's always going to be something that you can do. It's how you respond to that that
mm,
is 9 times out of 10 the problem, because
yeah,
you think, oh, well, this has happened, so now I can't do that. And actually, now I'm fucked. Whereas, actually, if you just take a second and think, right, okay, this has happened, that's not ideal, but what can I do instead? Okay, I'm going to do this. That's good. Like, I've got an ankle injury at the moment, and it is doing my head in because I am in such a good headspace for my training and my running. I can't run. I ran yesterday and I got 5.8 kilometers in, and I was like, no, this is not good. I
yeah.
pushed through to 8 just so that I was a bit closer to home, but I was virtually limping by the end of it and was just like, no, not okay. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to just completely give up for the week. I'm going to switch out my runs for a cycle. It's not, it's not an ideal scenario. I'd much rather be out running, but there's still something that I can do. I don't just have to give up completely.
Yeah. And that's where, like, if you've listened to the podcast before, that's where the next best thing mindset comes in. So, like, if, like, you can't do what your perfect plan was, so say for Lauren, like, her perfect plan was she'd be running at the moment, she'd be hitting her running training hard. All right, well, the next best thing is, well, you can't run, so what can you do? You can cycle. Cool. Well, can we do the cycling? Can we do the same, like, intensity, but on a bike instead? I had a similar situation at the start of the year. I had got I just kept on getting this, like, shooting pain down my leg when I was running. And I was like, I can't figure out what it is. I was like, I think it's like an overuse injury, and it's like it's coming up at certain points. So I was like, right. I was like, I'm just gonna rest it. So I made the decision, and I was like, right, I'm gonna stop running, and I stopped running from pretty much, I think it was like December, January, February, and I slowly built my way back up again. So I didn't run in December and January, and then from February I started like going from like 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers, 3 kilometers, and just built my way back up again. And I was like, this is gonna set all my training back. But I was like, no, it's not. Because what I did instead was rowing. I did cycling. I like massively increased my like volume that I was doing, but I did it using other metrics. So like it's okay if you can't do the thing. The only time it would have actually set me back is if I turned around and said, well, I guess I'm not doing anything then. Screw this.
Exactly.
Let's not do anything. I can't. My leg hurts. Guess I can't lift weights. Like, which had nothing to do. I was not in pain on a day-to-day basis. It was only when I was running. So it's literally like, what can you do if you can find that next best thing and like take action on something instead of nothing?
Yeah,
You're on for a winner.
absolutely. And going back to you, what you've just said about getting back into running and starting slowly and building up and going from 1 to 2 to 3, I think a lot of people think that they've just got to go out and run a 5K or a 10K or a half marathon, and that's not how it works. You cannot go from 0 to 100 just like that. It's just not going to happen. You've got to start slow and build it up. And I think people think that if they can't just do exactly what they want to do straight away, then there's no point. And I think that that's a reflection on like today's society of we want everything and we want it now. Like
Yeah.
you can go on Amazon Prime and you can have stuff delivered the same day you order it. You go on Just Eat or Deliveroo and you've got food appearing at your door within half an hour. You go on like Netflix and you can watch anything you want like right then and there. People aren't used to having to wait for things, and they're also not used to having to work for them either.
Yeah. I was listening to a Grace Beverly podcast the other day, and she said something about she was quoting someone, and it was to do with convenience, and she was saying that we have been convinced that convenience is better for us, and therefore we should always look for convenience. But that has effectively stopped us from reaching for things and pushing for things when it's not convenient, because we believe that everything should be convenient. And it's like, yeah, like if you want to lose weight, you're not conveniently just going to wake up, and that's not going to require you to live your exact same life that you are living right now, because that's what got you to this current weight, and it's okay that that's what got you here. But if you want to change, then you need to change. Like it's we can't keep putting the same inputs in and expecting a different outcome.
No, exactly. And also just to add to that, if you did conveniently just happen to wake up one morning and you were suddenly 3 stone lighter, I don't actually think that you'd be happier. It's
Yeah.
not that makes the difference. It's not the weight, it's the habits that you build and the things that you do, the changes that you make to help you get there that make you happier.
And if we're also talking on a perspective of, okay, we want to lose weight and we want to keep it off, you need to have built those behaviors and those foundations in order to keep it off. Like if you woke up tomorrow and you'd lost 3 stone, you wouldn't know how to live 3 stone lighter, or like have the habits and behaviors that would keep you at that weight.
100%. Look at all these people that are taking like Ozempic, Mounjaro, that are, yeah, they're losing the weight and then they stop taking them and that weight is coming back on again so quickly because they haven't actually learned what they need to do to lose that weight in the first place, but to keep it off.
Yeah. And not only that, but we're also starting to see rises in people complaining about like, oh, my bone density has decreased, and oh, my I've lost a load of muscle mass. And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, because you weren't doing the things that protect your muscle mass. It's just therefore then another yo-yo diet. Like I am all for Ozempic if it has been used properly and in a medical setting, and you have been prescribed it by a doctor and you are following the instructions. You are also building healthier habits and you're using it to improve your overall life. If you're using it to lose 10 to 15 pounds, get over yourself. Like you can get on with like just doing the changes that you need to make and the weight will come off. But if you're using it for that, like I think you're not necessarily thinking about those longer term repercussions. The reason that people are having issues with bone density and muscle mass is because they're not strength training and they're not eating enough protein. And therefore, that's meaning that they're in a severe calorie deficit. Their body's taking the energy from where it can, which is muscle, because muscle's expensive, so it gets rid of it from there. And bone density, because again, you're in a calorie deficit, it needs to get the energy from somewhere. So it takes it from lean body mass instead of taking it from the fat mass, because it goes, oh, well, we might need this. But whereas if you're using your muscle, your body goes, oh, well, we need the muscle mass then. And it keeps the muscle. But yeah, habits always, every day of the week.
Yeah, 100%. You cannot just expect that things are going to change without you making changes. Like there's the saying, nothing changes if nothing changes.
Yeah. I think as well, if we kind of like go back to the topic of happiness, and if you woke up tomorrow, would you be happier at like 3 stone lighter? It's really important to ask the question of, well, why do you want to lose that weight? And a lot of the time, like when we actually start to peel back the layers, we realize that there's other things going on there, and it's actually got nothing to do with the weight that you're at. Because I'll often ask the question, and you go, right, well, I want to lose weight because I don't feel confident in my body. All right, well, why don't you feel confident in my body? Because I don't like what I look like when I look in the mirror. All right, well, why don't you like what you look like? Because I feel like I don't look like I'm taking care of myself. All right, well, are you taking care of yourself? No. So would losing weight be the answer? Yeah, okay, well, why would losing weight be the answer? Oh, because then I'd be doing the things that I need to be able to lose weight. And it's like, okay, so it's not the losing the weight that's going to make you happier. It's the knowing that you're taking the actions to take care of yourself, that you feel like would take care of yourself, that would give you that freedom, like would give you that happiness, and you'd know that you were doing what you were needed to do to look after your body. And it's like, right, so it was never about the weight then.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
I think it's really important to kind of like just to zoom back to our first start of this conversation. And you said like when you had that conversation, you were stood on your parents' doorstep and you were waving, and your dad were like, "You put weight on, Lauren." When you're having like that moment, how were you feeling at that kind of like moment in time? Not necessarily just then, but like in the times leading up to that, because you said you tried to lose weight. So like, what were the emotions that you were feeling at the time?
I was progressively getting more and more sluggish, feeling more tired, feeling more unhappy in myself, because I knew that I was letting myself go. And I knew that, and I wasn't taking care of myself at all. I was so I was working all of these hours. On a Sunday, I would finish work at 4 or 5 o'clock. I would get home. I would walk in the door of my flat, greet my cat, and I would be so exhausted that I couldn't be bothered to have dinner. So I would get a big share bag of kettle chips, sweet chili and sour cream, because they're the best flavour. And that would be dinner, followed by a share bag of giant buttons, 12 bites, something like that. And then wash down with a bottle of rosé. That is not taking care of yourself at
Yeah,
all.
so just about a casual 1,500 calories there as well.
Yeah, exactly. Probably more than. And like, and it just that's just to me now, that's absolutely wild that I used to do that, because no wonder I felt like shit all the time.
Yeah. It's one of
I
those
was
things, isn't it, where like you don't realize you once you're out of it, you look back and you're like, oh yeah, those things wouldn't have made me feel great. But like in the moment, you often don't recognize it, and you don't recognize what the behaviors are doing that are making you feel worse.
Yeah, exactly. And I wouldn't go out and get in a walk. Like today, for example, I've already been to the gym. I feel good. I hit some PBs and I felt strong, and that was such a good start to the day. But that's not all that I'm going to do, because I haven't got my steps in yet. I'm on 1,500 steps. So when I finish my working day, chances are I'm going to be on no more than 3,000. So I'm going to head out for a walk this evening, and I'm going to put some headphones in, listen to a podcast, and get out in the sunshine. And I know that that is just going to do wonders for me mentally as well. And I'm going to finish the day feeling good. Whereas old me wouldn't have dreamt of doing that. I would have sat on the sofa, with said bottle of wine and packet of crisps and just watching telly. And that's not habits that are going to make you feel good. I actually, like, even down to the things that I do on a day-to-day basis. Now I read so much. I'm thinking about what I am putting into my mind as well as my body. I am not just sitting watching telly every spare moment that I get. Actually, 9 times out of 10, I will pick reading a book over watching telly.
Okay, big question: what are you reading at the moment?
I'm actually reading Oversubscribed at the moment, which is a
Yeah,
business
yeah, yeah.
I started it yesterday and I'm over halfway through already. Very much enjoying it. But aside from that, I am reading Michael Connolly, the Harry Bosch series and the Lincoln Lawyer series. Um, if you like a detective like novel, there's so many in the Harry Bosch series. And it's also been made into a series on Amazon Prime, and the Lincoln Lawyer is on Netflix as well.
Yeah,
Um,
my mum constantly tells me to watch The Lincoln Lawyer. Every
yeah,
time I speak to her, she's like, "So have you seen The Lincoln Lawyer yet?" And no.
do it. Add it to your list. It's so good. Yeah, I'm reading the books. I think I've read 6 of the Lincoln Lawyer books. I've got 1 to go. Um, yeah, I cannot get enough of them at the moment.
So I always think it's like good to have a good fiction book on the go as well, because like sometimes you just need to like escape, and like having a good fiction book on the
Yeah,
go is a good time. It's a good time.
yeah.
If you like murder mysteries, anything by Lucy Foley, Chef's Kiss, The
Oh,
Hunting
okay.
Party, Guest List, The Paris Apartment, all great time.
Oh, don't do this to me. I've got so much on my to be read list. So much. And now I just want to add more to it.
Yeah. But on that, actually, it's exactly as you said there. Like, it's about the inputs, and it's about what you're putting into your mind
Yeah,
and into your body. And for a lot of people, it's much easier to control your inputs than it is to control your so it's a lot easier to add things into your life than it is to take things out. So where we were saying like you will like read rather than watch TV. So the example that you can do there is you're going to add reading in rather
yeah,
than taking TV out. So when you
exactly.
take TV out, what I often call it is a habit hole. So I'm like, you take it out and you just leave this hole, but we've got something that fits perfectly in that hole, and it's the thing that you've just taken out. So unless you replace that habit, you're going to just spend your entire life falling down habit holes. So
Yeah,
you want to make sure that you're like adding things in instead. So on that evening time, it's not a big question of, oh well, I'm not watching TV, I'm going to sit and cry. It's a, I'm not watching TV, I'm going to sit and read instead. Like, it's that I'm sitting and reading instead of watching TV. So it gives you that alternative. So adding things in. It's the same with food. So instead of no ice cream, it's on an evening I'm going to snack on grapes and blueberries. Like, so it's like adding something else in, and it's going, right, I want to make sure I eat 5 different fruits and vegetables. I want to eat the rainbow across the week. And adding habits in is a lot easier and a lot more pleasant on the mind than what taking them away is.
yeah, exactly. And like thinking about that evening snack, it's not about just getting rid of everything that you enjoy and going, well, I'm not going to have the ice cream, but thinking about, okay, what alternatives can I have? Right, I'm not going to sit and eat an entire tub of Ben and Jerry's in one go, but actually, Halo tub, half a tub, happy days. But and I compare that with having some grapes and some blueberries, or like adding something in so that you are getting more volume. Going back to what we said earlier,
Yeah.
eating the volume but not the calories.
And that's it. Like, so say in that example, if we eat half grapes, half blueberries, half M&Ms, great job. There we go.
Yeah,
You've got your M&Ms in there, but you've also got some fiber in there, which adds more volume. You're eating the same amount of food, if not more food, but significantly fewer calories, and that makes such a difference.
yeah.
And like little things like that will be like will make like such a big difference in your life, and it's much easier to add the grapes and blueberries than it is to say, well, you're only going to eat half as much chocolate. It's like, well, actually, no, tonight, yeah, I'm going to be adding in this, and little tricks like that on your mind would like such a big like make such a big difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm such a big advocate as well for not just giving up everything that you enjoy. I mean, I lost 3 stone in the space of a year and I ate chocolate every single day. And I genuinely believe if I hadn't, I wouldn't have lasted long enough to lose 3 pounds, let alone 3 stone, because I have such a sweet tooth and and I enjoy it. I'm not going to give it up for anything, to
Yeah,
be
I'm
honest.
the same. Like, and if there's dessert on offer, like I'm probably having dessert. But like, if that means therefore that I need to make some changes throughout the rest of the day, sure. Like that, I'm happy to
Yeah,
do that because I would like to enjoy my life.
yeah,
And yeah,
exactly. Like last week, my parents had been away to Portugal and came back and they'd bought me a bar of the Dubai pistachio chocolate. Stunning. And I scanned it in and looked at the calories. I was like, right, okay, 397 calories. I can make that work, but I am going to have to sacrifice my other snacks throughout the day. And I did, and I fit it in just about, and it's all good. But it's not like I haven't just not thought about it and gone, "Oh, well, I'm just gonna eat it on top of everything else," you've got to make some sacrifices somewhere along the way.
And I think that's where having the information and having that education around calories is really important, because it means that even when you're not tracking, you can do these things and go like, okay, well, I know that today I'm having this. So if I have this snack now, realistically, I'm not going to need a snack later. So that's all right. I can skip the snack that I usually have later. That'll save me a couple of hundred calories. Cool. Are we round about that? Right. Are we about 100 calories over? That's fine for today. If tomorrow and the day after, I just make sure I'm having my lunches that I know are slightly lower in calories, where I go for the one that's 450 rather than 500. Job done. Like, and
Yeah.
your body works over time. It doesn't work overnight. Your body doesn't reset at midnight like MyFitnessPal does. So,
No.
like, if you find that over a week period you have eaten over on one day, but then the rest of the days you eat pretty much normal, maybe 50 calories under, bingo. Again, we want steady seas though. We don't want stormy seas. So we don't want up, down, I ate loads, I ate nothing, I ate loads, I ate nothing. It's, if you eat more, all right, we bring it back down to baseline, and we might have some more wobbles, and there might be a few ups and downs. But all in all, it's staying nice and steady, and that's really
Yeah,
the key.
exactly, and it's something that I will actually encourage my clients to do, will be calorie cycling. So, actually, you know that you've got a party coming up on Saturday that you're going to, and you know that you're gonna have a couple of drinks, and you want to make sure that you fit it into your calories. Well, take 50 to 100 calories a day, Monday to Friday, and save them so that you can have those drinks and enjoy it, and then you're straight back to it Sunday. And you know that there's no damage done because it's what you've done over the course of the whole week that is important, not just one day.
Yeah, I find that calorie cycling is one tool as well. Like, so I actually suggest a different tool for people, and this is what's really cool, is that like there is more than just one tool in the toolbox. So like you
Yeah,
choose the tool that works best for you. So the approach that you will have heard me talking about if you listen to the podcast before is decide how you want to navigate the day. So do we want fat loss? Do we want maintenance? Or do we want to not think about it? You not think about it for special occasions, but your fat loss and maintenance are okay. Well, fat loss, well, you do what says on the tin, you stick to your calories, you don't make any adjustments, like we make no changes. Maintenance just means, cool, we eat a little bit more into your deficit for that week. It might be that instead of being in a 3,500 calorie deficit across the week, you're actually in a 3,000 calorie deficit across the week. Over time, no one's going to miss anything, but you ate more on that Saturday when you were going out and you had a couple of extra 100 calories. And again, it's just finding a method that works for you and doing it in a way that is productive. And like for that, I prefer to suggest that method because it means you don't have to sacrifice anything throughout the week, and it means that we don't end up in this like restriction cycle throughout the week, where for some
yeah,
people that mindset of saying let's take the calories down means that they'll then end up overeating on the weekend. But
yes,
again, this is different tools, different people find these things useful, and this is why education is so useful for going, right, I've got this tool in the toolbox, this tool in the toolbox, which one am I pulling out? I can pull out the right one for me, or I know will be right at the right time. And yeah, like that is why like in knowing how to navigate these things works so well, and especially is super important for like losing weight and keeping it up. So
yeah.
let's kind of like go around into that. What, I guess, what reasons, or how do you feel now that you have lost weight, and obviously been keeping it off for, I mean, if you lost weight in 2020, in a year's time you were down by 3 stone, like it's been 4 years now. So like
Yeah.
for you, like 4 years down the line, how is your life better for having lost weight?
It's not necessarily the weight that's made my life better, it's
Yeah.
everything that's come along to get me there. So
Mhm.
it's just having those healthy habits, like looking forward to getting up in the morning. Like I used to be a night owl because obviously I was working until midnight most nights. So I would then not go to bed until 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. By the time I wake up, I'm then just going out the door to do it all again, and I'm snoozing my alarm and whatnot. Whereas now, I'm excited to get up in the morning. I have built like a morning routine that I absolutely love, getting up, having my coffee, sitting in bed reading my book, or when the weather's like this, sitting outside on this garden sofa, reading my book for a little while before I then get up. And then I've got things to look forward to in my day, like going to the gym, like going for a run. They're things that actually they bring me joy and I look forward to them, like thinking about my sessions, like, okay, I'm going to the gym. That's not I'm not I don't have to do that, that's not a punishment, that's something that I get to do. I get to go and
Mhm.
enjoy it. I get to go and like, this morning, I hit a 45 kilo bench press for the first time in
Woo!
over 6 months, and I was buzzing. And I had to ask a random girl in the gym. I was looking around and I was like, right, who can I ask? Because I was terrified. I was like, oh, I haven't done this for ages. And last week I actually did 37.5 and I was like, no, I'm calling that day. I'm struggling. And this morning I managed to get I got 40 and then I got 42.5 and I was like, do you know what? I'm feeling good. I'm gonna go for it. But I just want someone there just in case I fail and look like an absolute idiot. And then I felt good. And it's those things that have made the difference, not the weight.
Yeah.
It's knowing that when a friend asks me, "Do you wanna do this?" Yeah, yeah, I do, and I can do that. It's knowing that, what like, a little while ago, a friend messaged me and was just like, "Oh, do you wanna go paddleboarding tomorrow?" I was like, "Yeah, I do. I've never been paddleboarding. That sounds like great fun." Knowing that, 1, my body is gonna be capable of it, and 2, knowing that I have no issues whatsoever putting on a bikini because I feel confident in my body. I know that what it's capable of, and actually I feel confident.
For sure.
It's
And
not.
exactly, like, none of those things come from being 62 kg. Like,
No,
not all of those
no,
things come from the habits and behaviors that you have built and the lifestyle and also the, like, I guess, durability and, like, of the body that you have built. Like, you know that you are strong. You know that you're strong enough to attempt a 45 kg bench press. You know that you are capable enough of saying yes to going paddleboarding so you can stand there and you won't feel like, oh my God, but what if it can't, like, take it? I remember, like, for me, when I was 3 stone heavier, a lot of, like, my concern came from, like, oh, will I be too heavy for this? Like, will I be able to do that? Like, I'll struggle with this because it's gonna be a lot harder for me because of XYZ. Whereas now I'm like, yeah, cool, let's go do that. Yeah, no, that's fine. Like,
no.
and I mean, it doesn't help that my partner is, like, tiny. He's a whole, like, 5 foot nothing, and, like, I'm like, no, now I am the biggest person in the room again. But it's just in such a different way. And actually, like, now I know that feeling strong is so important, and I know that feeling like, the fact that I'm confident in what my body can do, it does make such a huge difference for, like, how you feel in yourself. And actually, I'm the same. Like, my life hasn't improved because of the number on the scales, but it's improved because of the things that I did to get the number on the scales to where it is now.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's the little things. Like, I've booked a last minute holiday, so I'm going away next week. And when I think back to 2018 was my last like hot holiday,
Yeah.
if you will. So the last holiday where I went abroad and it was like beachy and sunny and by the pool. And I remember I didn't feel confident. I've literally got pictures from that holiday where I'm wearing like a baggy dress and I know that I wasn't feeling 100% in myself. And that wasn't even when I was at my biggest. And now I know that I'm going on holiday next week. And I'm thinking about all the bikinis that I'm going to pack. I'm not worried about what I'm going to look like. I'm thinking about all the fun that I'm going to have, all the things that I'm going to do, like the water park that I'm going to go to, and I'm just going to splash around and have the best time. And it's knowing that you are capable of doing those things. Like that after that day at the water park, I'm not gonna ache like a bitch and not want to do anything. I know that I'm gonna be able to go and explore the whole time that I'm away, and I'm not gonna feel tired. I'm not gonna ache because I've done 15,000 steps in a day. It's I'm not concerned by any of those things because I know that I'm capable of it.
And it's that mental load that makes such a difference, or the lack of mental load there. And, like, actually, you've not taken on that extra stress. Like, you don't have to think about it. Therefore, it's not on your mind. It's not eating away at your energy. It's not something that you're having to, like, think about over and over again. So it's one of those things where if you lose weight, it isn't about the weight loss, but it's about all the things that you'll gain from that. Like, from
Yeah.
that, and one of them is liberation from not feeling stressed about your body 24/7.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm fully aware that for some people, going on holiday is actually going to be a really stressful experience because they're going to be thinking, like, right, okay, oh, this beach, I've got 250 steps to climb down to get to it. And then I'm going to have to climb back up those. And yeah, I'm going to be out of breath by the time I get halfway down or halfway up, and I'm going to struggle. And oh, I've got this big bag that I need to carry as well. And oh, I don't feel strong. And I know that that's going to play on people's mind because it would have used to have played on mine as well, thinking like, oh, I can't do it. This isn't enjoyable. And I know like thinking about packing is going to be stressful because oh, what can I take? What am I going to wear? Am I going to have to? Am I going to want to feel like I want to cover up? Like, and it's all of those things that then just disappear from your mind, from your worries that you don't have to consider anymore.
For sure. And like it really is like lighter. Like life feels
Yeah,
lighter. I found since like losing weight, and I'm sure like that is not synonymous with like the scale goes down and you will feel lighter. It's the because of the actions and the inputs that have made such a difference.
for sure, for sure. And there's like just even like in day to day, just feeling lighter. It's not just about, going on holiday and whatnot. It's
Yeah.
every day, because let's be realistic, holidays are a couple of times a year of tops, aren't they?
Yeah. Or apparently for you, one hot holiday every 5 years or
Yeah,
every 7 years. Yeah.
literally, literally. This is my last holiday was actually 2019, my last proper holiday abroad. So I cannot wait.
Yeah, I bet your passport's like blowing the dust off it.
Yeah. The only time my passport has been used since is for High Rocks events.
I did.
Very different holidays.
Um, so, to round all this off, then, Lauren, it's a question I asked everybody that comes on the podcast. What does being healthy mean for you? What is health for you?
It means life, getting your life back, being able to do everything that you want to do, knowing that you feel your absolute best. It's not I don't think there's one thing that can define being healthy, because I think a lot of people would think, oh, to be healthy, you have to only eat like fruit and veg and protein and stuff, and you've got to exercise every day. But actually, there are different ends to the spectrum,
Mhm.
because yes, okay, you do need to make sure that you're getting in plenty of fruit and veg and stuff, but actually, you need to know that it's also okay to have that bar of Dubai pistachio chocolate that has been brought home from holiday, or that when you go on holiday you can indulge and have ice cream and pastries and all of the good food, and what you have in that one week is not going to make a massive difference to your to your waistline, but it's going to make a massive difference to your mental health because you've relaxed and enjoyed it.
For sure, for sure. What are those things that make you feel your best? Like, how do you know when you're feeling your best?
When I'm feeling my best is when I am eating really well.
Mm.
And I don't mean by that, I don't mean eating as little as possible and eating
Or
under my
carrots and broccoli all the
calories.
time.
No, I mean, like, I genuinely, I absolutely love my breakfast now, and it's something that I look forward to every day, and I feel so good when I eat it. If you're interested, by the way, it's Greek yogurt with peanut butter powder. Mix that in, and nutty granola with a banana that I chop up, raspberries, blueberries, and the absolute like vital ingredient is I found this peanut butter salted caramel drizzle that I put on top. It is out of this world. And I think a lot of people would look at that and think, "Oh, that's not healthy. That's not I can't have that for breakfast." Me, it's the best breakfast I've ever had.
You can tell how excited you are about that breakfast, and the fact that that for you is living your best life by the fact that you were like, you might be interested, and then just proceeded to just be like, I'm going to tell you all anyway.
Yeah.
And
I don't
I
care
think
if
that is
it
perfect. And like it's excitement around food as well, and not
yeah,
feeling restricted by it. And like again, all of these
exactly.
things come
There
down
is
to
no point these days where I feel restricted and like I can't have what I want to have.
yeah,
Um, like I still will have chocolate every single day. So going back to your question, the things that make me feel good and feel happiest are things like that, like eating. Like I am excited about my food. I love food. Obviously, I worked in hospitality for years, so that goes hand in hand with eating all the time. And I love my food, but also like moving. I know if I have a day where I'm getting movement in, I know that it's going to be a better day. Things like, and I know that some people will probably think that it's sad that I look forward to going to the gym. Well, I don't actually care what you think because I enjoy it, and I have fun. A good
I
day for me is going and doing a big sweaty IROC session.
I think one thing that like I really found is that the more I recognize that it's a privilege to be able to eat like nutritious
Oh,
food, and it is a privilege to be able to move my body, and it is a privilege to have a body that I can do all these things with and make choices about, the more I'm like how honored I am to be able to look after it. And like that again makes eating nutritious food like a great experience, and like again, it makes it enjoyable.
Yeah, it's such a privilege. Must have been last year. I bumped into someone that I used to know, and he had a tumor on his spine. And he used to be well, he's a waiter on his feet all the time, and young as well, like must be in his 40s. And he actually came up to me and was just like, "Oh, I love watching your stuff and I wish I could do it." But now he's struggled to get from the car into the shop just to pick up a few bits and back again because he can barely walk. He's got a walking stick. And I just thought, "Do you know what? How bloody lucky am I that I can do all of the things that I want to do?"
Yeah, for
Because there
sure.
are people out there that can't, and it must be so difficult to not be in a position where you can't, so I'm grateful every day that I can.
Yeah, and like again, I think that comes down to health as well. Of just being like, how lucky am I that my health is in a good enough position that I don't have to worry about these things. Like, what
Yeah,
again, what a privilege, and that we can have this conversation about going to the gym and have a conversation where your biggest issue is like losing weight and
yeah,
reducing your body fat percentage. Like that is such a privileged position to be in. So when you kind of like, if you approach fat loss with that mindset, I think that makes a massive difference.
yeah, for sure, for sure. I think when you approach it from a point of view of, it's not something that I have to do, it's something that I get to do, it does make a big difference.
Yeah, and then as well, like it's coming from a place of internal motivation, not like from external motivation because it's what you think you ought to do because society is telling you to lose weight. It's coming
Yeah,
from a place of like, oh, I'm doing this because I want to do this because I want this outcome for myself. Like, and that is like nothing is more motivating than internal motivation.
yeah, yeah, if you rely on external motivating factors, you're probably gonna give up pretty quickly.
So on that note, Lauren, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your journey and yeah, what health means to you as well to wrap everything up. If people want to connect with you, they want to find you, where's the best place that they can get you?
Best place is Instagram. It is at Lauren Emma Fit. So come and join the party if you want some no bullshit advice and approach when it comes to fat loss and training.
Cool. Well, thank you very much. I'll put the link as well to Lauren's profile in the show notes. But if you've got any questions or anything on this topic, feel free to drop me or Lauren a message. But otherwise, have a fantastic rest of day.